example of monastic austerity to the clergy who were domiciled with them, and the rules which they gave were imitated by others. Such clergy were forbidden to meddle with secular business. From the 4th century onward the presbyters who had charge of churches were grouped under the presidency and general superintendence of archpresbyters, afterwards called in the West rural deans. The bishops also employed periadutae or travelling inspectors, presbyters under their own immediate authority, to take cognizance on their behalf of the parochial clergy. Under these circumstances the torpiscopi or rural bishops, who had besides sometimes abused their power of ordination, became superfluous and were abolished. In the period before the recognition of the Church by the state groups of dioceses had already been formed, and the bishops of certain cities presided over their brethren within a certain district or province under the name of metropolitans. The political organization of the empire had naturally considerable influence on the constitution of the ecclesiastical hierarchy. The most remarkable phenomenon in the government of the Church in this period is the rise of the great patriarchates. At the time of the Council of Nicaea it was clear that the metropolitans of Rome, Alexandria and Antioch held a superior rank among their brethren, and had a kind of ill-defined jurisdiction over the provinces of several metropolitans. The Fathers of Nicaea recognized the fact that the privileges of these sees were regulated by customs already regarded as primitive, and these customs they confirmed. Alexandria was to have authority over Egypt, Libya and Pentapolis, an authority of the same kind as that which the Roman bishop had over his subject provinces. In like manner their ancient privileges were secured to Antioch and other suprametropolitan churches. The empire was afterwards divided for the purposes of civil government into 4 prefectures as follows: 1. The prefecture of the East, subdivided into the diocese of the East, containing 15 provinces, and having Antioch for its capital; Egypt, containing 9 provinces, with Alexandria as its capital; Asia, containing 12 provinces, with Ephesus as its capital; Pontus, consisting of 13 provinces, with Caesarea in Cappadocia as its chief town; and Thrace, consisting of 6 provinces, which had its seat of government first at Heraclea, afterwards at Constantinople. 2. The prefecture of Eastern Illyricum, with Thessalonica for its chief town, subdivided into the diocese of Macedonia, with 7 provinces, and Dacia with 6. 3. The prefecture of Italy, subdivided into the diocese of Rome, with 10 suburbicarian provinces, and Rome itself for a capital; Italy with 7 provinces and Milan as its capital; Western Illyricum, with 7 provinces, and Sirmium as its capital; Africa, divided into 6 provinces, with Carthage as its capital. 4. The prefecture of the Gauls, again divided into the diocese of Gaul, which contained 17 provinces and had Treves for its capital; Spain, which had 7 provinces; and Britain, which had 5. The chief towns of the 2 last mentioned dioceses were uncertain. The organization of the Church followed on its main lines that of the empire. It also had its dioceses and provinces, coinciding for the most part with the similarly named political divisions. Not only did the same circumstances which marked out a city for political preeminence also indicate it as a fit centre of ecclesiastical rule, but it was a recognized principle with the Church that the ecclesiastical should follow the civil division. At the head of a diocese was a patriarch, at the head of a province was a metropolitan; the territory of a simple bishop was a parish. Thus the civil diocese of the East was, in matters ecclesiastical, under the sway of the Patriarch of Antioch; that of Egypt under that of the Patriarch of Alexandria; and the bishops of the political capitals, Ephesus, Caesarea and Heraclea, had patriarchal authority over the dioceses of Asia, Pontus and Thrace. In the second canon of the Ecumenical Council of Constantinople, by which the bishops of a diocese are forbidden to intrude into the territory of their neighbours, it seems to be assumed that the limits of the political and the ecclesiastical diocese are identical. The same council ordained that the bishop of Constantinople, which had now superseded Heraclea as the seat of diocesan civil government, should have precedence, as bishop of New Rome, next under the bishop of Rome. The bishop of Constantinople not unnaturally desired an increase of power, as well as additional dignity, and his position as bishop of the imperial city enabled him to gain much of what he aimed at. He appears at once to have made himself master of the diocese of Thrace, thrusting aside the bishop of Heraclea, whose city, on the founding of Constantinople, had ceased to be a seat of the imperial government. But, not content with this, he set himself to bring under his jurisdiction the dioceses of Asia and Pontus, which also, helped by his position at court, he did in fact make subject to his sway. This arrangement still lacked the sanction of the Church, when the Council of Chalcedon gave him his opportunity. This council recognized the exclusive right of the bishop of Constantinople to consecrate the metropolitans of Thrace, Pontus, and Asia, expressly on the ground that as Constantinople was now the seat of empire, it should enjoy the same privileges which Rome had enjoyed as the seat of empire. The once patriarchal sees of Heraclea, Caesarea, and Ephesus thus became simply metropolitan, though their occupants had the title of exarch and precedence before other bishops of the same diocese. The same council ordered that a bishop or other cleric who had a complaint against his own metropolitan should bring his case before the exarch of the diocese, or before the patriarchal throne of the imperial city of Constantinople, so that he might, if he chose, ignore his own exarch altogether. The see of Constantinople thus became the oriental counterpart of that of Rome. The same council had before it the question of the state and dignity of the mother of all churches, Jerusalem, which had been for some time ambiguous and unsatisfactory. Jerusalem has associations which have in all ages secured it the reverence of Christians, yet it was at the time we speak of too unimportant a see to secure for its bishop a distinguished position in the Church. It was, in fact, overshadowed by the political chief town of Palestine, Caesarea, which became the ecclesiastical metropolis. The Council of Nicaea assigned to Jerusalem precedence immediately after the sees of Rome, Alexandria, and Antioch, but without giving it any power beyond that of an ordinary episcopal throne, Caesarea being still recognized as having jurisdiction over the other sees of Palestine. The relation thus created was strained and unnatural, and it is no wonder that the bishop of Jerusalem struggled to emancipate himself from the yoke of Caesarea. The see rose in fame after the peace of the Church under Constantine, in consequence of the increasing reverence paid to the holy places, and at the Council of Ephesus, Juvenalis, bishop of Jerusalem, had the courage to claim for his see patriarchal jurisdiction over Palestine, Phoenicia, and Arabia. This claim was rejected by the council, but he nevertheless obtained from the emperor Theodosius II a rescript granting to him the provinces which he had claimed. The bishop of Antioch, Maximus, of course regarded this as an attack upon his long established rights, and a long controversy arose between the two bishops, which was at last put an end to by a compromise which received the sanction of the Council of Chalcedon. This provided that the Patriarch of Antioch should receive back his provinces of Phoenicia and Arabia, while the Bishop of Jerusalem should possess patriarchal authority over the 3 provinces of Palestine. He thus became an actual patriarch, though of a small diocese. There were then in the Roman Empire, after the practical suppression of the patriarchal rights of the other diocesan thrones, 5 patriarchal sees, those of Rome, Constantinople, Alexandria, Antioch, and Jerusalem. Justinian indeed attempted to give to the see of his native city, Achrida, patriarchal authority over the prefecture of Illyricum, but so artificial an arrangement did not long endure. There were, however, still in Christendom, and even in the empire, metropolitans who acknowledged no patriarch or exarch over them, claiming to be autocephalous or independent. Such was the metropolitan of Salamis or Constantia in Cyprus, who at the Council of Ephesus successfully vindicated the ancient rights of his see against the claims of the Patriarch of Antioch. And even in Italy the authority of the see of Rome was not everywhere acknowledged. A patriarch held, within his own diocese, the supreme ecclesiastical authority, and his diocesan synod was the highest court of appeal for ecclesiastical business. Without the consent and cooperation of the patriarchs no valid ecumenical council could be held. But the patriarchal system of government, like every other, suffered from the shocks of time. The Patriarch of Antioch had, in the first instance, the most extensive territory, for he claimed authority not only over the civil